We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and our topic today is oil price in the Israel-Iran crisis. With us, Osama Rizvi, a famous analyst in energy and economic environment, geopolitical too, and this is me. Welcome, Rizvi. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Armando, for giving me the opportunity.
It's a great pleasure. You are in Brazil live now. And Rizzi, what do you expect for oil price, considering the crisis that is running? Of course, as scenarios only, of course, we do not have certainty of anything at this time.
Of course, it is the trillion dollar or billion dollar question these days, and I think as we recently wrote for Primary Revision Network as well, that there are multiple other factors that have so far contributed to the increase in oil prices, right? And on a monthly basis, I think oil prices have surged in the previous month around 20-25%, and Iran-Israel war is just one of the factors. We have seen inventories falling. We have seen less production from OPEC than promised. We have seen some rebound from China, and so on and so forth. In terms of the oil prices moving forward now after what have happened, I believe no one knows. So if there is a closure of Strait of Hormuz, certainly oil prices can go as high as anyone's guess. But if there is no closure of Strait of Hormuz and the energy infrastructure, so we need to realize that some of the energy infrastructure has been hit, but that will mostly correspond to Iran's domestic energy crisis, not the international one. So as far as the international energy assets remain safe, I don't expect oil prices to surge. Right now, I mean, there are some concerning developments, including Iran passing a bill, the possibility of Iran passing a bill that will take them out of the NPT, and Trump calling all citizens of Tehran to evacuate. And if there is a further escalation, I can expect oil prices to raise. But still, we have very strong fundamentals in supply dynamics. So let's see how high they can rise.
Yeah, perfect. Through oh, sorry, this is not good here. Let me move and go ahead again. Let's see if no, it's not working well.
Okay.
How much oil passed through the Hormuz Canal every day? You know, and
I, 20,
20.
20% of the global oil supply and 20 to 30% of the LNG demand passes
Oh,
through Hormuz. In any event, of course, Straits of Hormuz is one of the key choke points in the world when it comes to energy, and its closure remains unprecedented. And it will also not very be. It will not be very easy for Iran as well to close the straits, because it will also negatively impact their own revenues. But I really hope, Armando, I say this in every interview as well, that I hope that things don't escalate to this point.
mhm, mhm. For which countries this oil goes? I mean, who are the buyers of this oil
I
from?
think most of the oil, I would say, I would venture to say 70 to 80% of this oil goes towards the Asian economies. And that is why I believe China is one of them. Of course, China is the largest buyer of Iranian oil, and China buys a lot of oil from the region. So Asian economies, the continent of Asia, it stands to be affected the most if such an event happens. But naturally, the spillover will be across the world, and all the oil-consuming countries will be impacted by this.
So United States are not too concerned about this supply. Something
Uh,
happened.
I'm of course concerned, but I think that such a drastic step should be avoided, and it would be avoided, I believe. But unfortunately, when we look at the developments right now, Israel has said it very clearly that the Operation Rising Lion will continue until they have achieved their target. Iran is not ready to turn down their nuclear program, which is sprawled across 1,000 kilometers, and many of the facilities are 550 meters deep into the mountains. So it's not very easy to disable that just by aerial strikes. So that is a concerning point. I mean, we need an intervention by the U.S. So that so more bloodshed can be stopped.
Yeah, clear, clear. Is there a pipeline that bypass the canal, Hormuz Canal?
Uh, I think there are two pipelines. One is the Petroline, which is in Saudi Arabia. The other one is Habshan Fujairah pipeline in UAE. Both have been commissioned, but even if they are operating at their full capacity, that would only account for almost half of the traffic that passes through Hormuz. So the importance of Hormuz, the significance still stands.
Mhm. Yeah. Rizvi, there is an oversupply of oil in the world at this time. Is it correct? Yes.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Uh, a- and OPEC is running well. I mean, they understand themselves.
It's a very interesting question because there is an oversupply, and that is why we have seen that OPEC Plus producers, they are not on the same page these days. Because of the production cuts, it was expected that the oil prices will stabilize. Before the Israel-Iranian war, prices were still not to the point where, let's say, Saudi Arabia wanted them to balance their budget. Kazakhstan wants them, or Iraq wants them. So every country is now turning towards the domestic priorities, and this time, the production increase. And this is a very important point to understand, and I have been saying this on ad nauseum basis that this time the production increase is to impose or encourage compliance within OPEC. And that is where it gets further tricky because Kazakhstan has its own domestic priorities, and most of its oil contracts are with international companies, and they're not binded by these the production cut agreements. They cannot ask them to slow down their production. So there
Mhm.
are lots of moving pieces. There is a supply overhang, and if production increase actually materializes, the 411,000 barrels per day of increase, then by the end of July, OPEC Plus would have brought back around 60% of the production cuts. So that will be a lot more oil than the world needs at this point.
Mhm, mhm. And the reserves are increasing a lot too, with Guyana, with Brazil exporting. So
The,
there are
the
no
non-OPEC
restrictions now.
production, yes, the non-OPEC production is also on the rise. According to IEA's latest report, it will account for an additional
Exactly.
970,000 barrels per day next year and 1.3 million barrels per day this year. Guyana is increasing, Brazil is increasing. All of the other US production specifically. Our
Mhm.
frac job count, the primary division's frac job count, is showing really interesting trends in this regard. Despite the production cuts, production increases, despite the falling prices of oil previously, the frac job count that relates to the actual completions, number of completions in the U.S. shale patch, they have remained
Mhm.
steady. So it means the U.S. oil production is also steady, and it has been shown corroborated by S&P Platts and other organizations. So yeah, the non-OPEC production is holding strong, which is another issue when it comes to the global oil supply and demand dynamics.
If suddenly this war stops and price may be very low in the next phase, do you agree with that? Yes.
I think 100%. Without this war, we are still in a bare oil market. The direction of oil prices remains downward because of the reasons I've just mentioned. On the demand front, I continue to quote the World Bank's recent report, and there are other many. So I mean, in my market sentiment tracker, I cover these in detail every week, and there are lots of bearish factors accumulating or behaving quite in a sticky manner, as so to say, when it comes to the US Eurozone. China is looking a little bit better than where it previously was, but still, it's quite things are not as good as the pre-pandemic levels. So the demand element is not there, so the supply is there. So I think the direction for prices remain downwards.
I know that you have other interviews, so we have a few minutes. Let me ask you about natural gas. Iran is a very big producer of natural gas. Reserves are
Yes.
big. How they sell via pipelines, via LNG?
It's interesting to note that South Pars is one of the largest gas fields in the world. It's called North Field in Qatar. A part of it was also hit, but the fire was, brought under control, I believe, as per the recent reports. It does have a lot of reserves, but right now, when we talk about the global gas supply, a majority of the gas that Iran produces is used domestically.
Oh,
So, I mean, yeah, so there is going to be very little impact on the global gas prices until or unless, of course, the North Field or the Qatar part of the field is hit. or if the escalation moves upwards. Other than that, we need to look at the energy crisis of Iran. It can cost the country around $250 million per day. The blackouts in the country. So I mean the impact right now is contained within the country, but of course it has all the trappings. It has all the ingredients to go global. But so far, the gas prices have also remained contained. The increase has been temporary. When we look at specifically the EU industrial gas demand, it is very low, continues to be low. The energy intensive manufacturing in the EU continues to be low. So, similarly to that, the situation in the oil markets, in the gas markets, the demand is lukewarm, as they say. So, there's no issue as of today that would result in an increase LNG or natural gas price.
Uh-huh. You mentioned that they use internally the gas production, but what purpose they have? They have an industry, a strong industry. What are they use?
I think it's for domestic household use and some for industry. I'm not really sure on the sectoral distribution of it, but I would certainly think the household consumes the majority of it.
In your vision, to finish our conversation today, what's the probability to end suddenly this war between 0 and 100?
I think
Technical problem. Riz is coming back soon for sure. Thank you for understanding this. Not yet. Hi, Hizvi. Are you here? No, not yet. Oh, here you are again.
Sorry, I got a call in the middle. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
So I was trying to make my point that if oil prices rise, that will be the point, because right now Trump cannot afford higher oil price, and the U.S. Consumer Sentiment Index have shown us, the leading conference board index have shown us that things are not that strong in the U.S. as well. There is a big budget bill, there is the issue of debt ceiling, and higher oil prices will only make it worse. So I think the biggest motivator for the US administration to intervene would be higher oil prices. Now, Israel might avoid the oil infrastructure, but Iran might hit it. So, if and when that happens, I'm expecting an intervention. Before that, as I said, it's anybody's guess. I think this time things look a bit more serious than the last year's war, and I can only hope that it doesn't get worse. And I hope that today, tomorrow, we reach a ceasefire, because it's in nobody's interest that there is a prolonged war.
No doubt. It's a very complicated situation, no doubt. Osama Hizvi, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Armando. Thank you so much.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you.